My friend Robert called me last Tuesday morning, completely caught off guard. 72 years old, retired accountant from outer Melbourne, has owned his home for 34 years, smart man, financially aware, the kind of person who reads every budget announcement and every policy change carefully. He said, "I just read something that stopped me cold. There is a proposal being discussed in Canberra right now that could completely change how my home is treated under the pension rules. Is this real? Should I be worried?" I told him to slow down, and I told him what I am about to tell you, because what is being discussed in Canberra right now about homeowners over 67 is real. It is significant, and depending on your situation, parts of it will genuinely surprise you, some in ways that could hurt you, and some in ways that could actually help. This is not rumour, this is not clickbait. These are real policy proposals, confirmed, documented, and being actively debated at the highest levels of Australian government right now. And every senior homeowner in Australia deserves to know exactly what is on the table. So, today, I am going through everything, what Canberra is proposing, what it means for your pension, what it means for your home, and what you need to do right now while these discussions are still happening. This is Australia Pension Hub. Let us get into it. Let me start by giving you the full picture of where this is coming from, because understanding the context makes everything else make sense. The age pension is the second largest federal government expense every single year, accounting for 8.4% of the entire federal budget in 2024 to 25. It costs Australian taxpayers more than $62 billion annually. And here is the number that has Canberra paying very close attention right now. Under the current means test rules, substantial pension benefits are flowing to the top 20% of households by wealth in Australia. That finding, from a major policy analysis, is what has triggered the current debate. And that debate is directly focused on one specific asset that most pensioners assumed was permanently and completely protected: their home. So what exactly is being proposed? A major Australian think tank has put forward what it is calling the Retirement Contribution Scheme, or RCS. The preferred rule change contained in this analysis would exclude the first $500,000 of owner-occupied housing equity from the assets test, but include any equity above that amount. Read that again, because it is significant. Under the current rules, your entire home is exempt from the assets test. Every dollar of equity, whether your home is worth $300,000 or $3 million. Under the proposed RCS model, the first $500,000 of your home's equity would remain exempt, but anything above $500,000 would be counted as an assessable asset. For Australian seniors whose homes have grown significantly in value over decades, particularly in Sydney, Melbourne, and other capital cities, this change could be enormous. Let me show you exactly what this could mean in practice. Say you own a home in suburban Sydney, currently worth $1,200,000. Under the current rules, that entire value is exempt, none of it counted. Under the proposed model, the first $500,000 remains exempt, but the remaining $700,000 of equity above that threshold would be counted as an assessable asset. $700,000 added to your assets test. For many Sydney and Melbourne homeowners, that addition alone would push them over the upper assets test cutoff, potentially eliminating their pension entirely, simply because their suburb became desirable over the decades they lived there. Now here is the part that most coverage of this proposal has completely missed. The RCS proposal is not just about taking away. It also includes something called the Retirement Contribution Scheme payment. And for some homeowners, this part of the proposal is genuinely positive. Under the full RCS model, seniors whose homes have significant equity above the $500,000 threshold would have access to a government-administered equity release mechanism, similar to a reverse mortgage, but government-backed, with significantly better terms and protections than commercial reverse mortgages currently available in Australia. This would allow asset-rich but income-poor homeowners, people with significant home equity but limited savings, to access some of that equity to supplement their retirement income without having to sell their home, without having to move, without commercial interest rates eroding their equity rapidly. For seniors who are asset-rich and cash-poor, living in a valuable home but struggling to cover daily living costs, this aspect of the proposal could actually be beneficial. The key question is whether the government would implement the full package, both the inclusion of equity above $500,000 in the assets test and the improved equity access mechanism, or whether they would implement only parts of it. Now, let me be very clear about something important, and I want to be precise here because this matters enormously. This proposal, the RECS, is not law. It has not been introduced to Parliament as legislation. It is a policy proposal from a think tank. It is being discussed and debated. The government has not announced plans to implement it. Your family home is still protected and does not count toward the asset test under current rules. That has not changed. As of today, your home is fully exempt. But here is why this matters right now, even though it is not yet law. Policy proposals like this one do not appear from nowhere. They appear when the government is looking for solutions to a problem. And the problem, $62 billion per year in pension costs flowing significantly to high-wealth households, is a real problem that Canberra is actively trying to address. The RECS is one possible solution. There will be others proposed. Then between now and the next federal election, and possibly after it, changes to how the family home is treated under pension rules are genuinely on the table in a way they have not been for decades. Now let me talk about something else coming out of Canberra that is directly relevant to homeowners over 67, and this one is already happening. From July 1st, 2026, the ACT government has permanently abolished stamp duty for first home buyers. The ACT is the first jurisdiction in Australia to abolish stamp duty permanently for first home buyers. And the exemption has also been extended to pensioners and eligible NDIS participants. Now you might be thinking that is Canberra specifically, not all of Australia. You are right. But here is why it matters nationally. When one state or territory makes a significant housing policy change, others follow. The ACT's permanent stamp duty abolition for pensioners is being watched closely by every other state government in Australia. Several are already in discussions about similar measures. For Australian seniors over 67 who are considering downsizing, who want to move to a smaller property, a retirement village, or a different location, stamp duty on the new property is often one of the biggest financial barriers. If you are in the ACT, this applies to you right now. And if you are in another state, watch this space, because the pressure on other state governments to follow suit is significant. Now let me talk about the Home Equity Access Scheme, because this is a government program that already exists right now, and most homeowners over 67 have never heard of it. The Home Equity Access Scheme is administered by Services Australia. It allows eligible older Australians to access the equity in their home as a loan to supplement their retirement income without having to sell or move out of their property. Under the scheme, you can borrow up to a combined maximum pension rate per fortnight from the government using your home as security. The loan accrues interest, currently at a compound rate of 3.95% per annum, and is repaid when you sell your home, move into aged care, or pass away. The scheme has been in place for several years, but it has been significantly underutilised. Most eligible seniors do not know it exists, and even those who do often confuse it with commercial reverse mortgages, which carry significantly higher risks and costs. The key protections in the government scheme that commercial products do not offer include a no negative equity guarantee, you will never owe more than the value of your home, and the ability to make voluntary repayments at any time to reduce the outstanding loan balance. For seniors who own a valuable home but are struggling to cover living costs on their pension alone, this scheme is worth understanding seriously, right now, before any changes to home equity treatment under pension rules make the calculus more complex. What you need to do right now. If you are a homeowner over 67 and you are finding your pension does not cover your living costs comfortably, search for the Home Equity Access Scheme on the Services Australia website, read the current terms, and speak with a financial advisor about whether it might be appropriate for your situation. Now let me also address something that is relevant to every homeowner in this situation. Roughly 39% of Australians over 67 receive the full age pension, and a further 24% receive a part pension. That means 63% of Australians over 67 are receiving some form of age pension right now, and the overwhelming majority of them are homeowners. The budget pressure created by this scale of pension expenditure, combined with the concentration of significant housing wealth among pensioner households in capital cities, and is what is driving the current policy discussion. And here is what that means for you practically. Even if the RECS proposal is never implemented in its current form, the pressure it represents is real. Changes to how housing is treated under pension rules, whether through new thresholds, equity inclusion mechanisms, or other approaches, are more likely to happen in the next 5 years than at any point in the past decade. This is the time to understand your position, to know exactly how much equity you have in your home, to understand how changes to the assets test might affect your pension, and to make informed decisions about your housing and your retirement finances while you still have time to plan. So what do you need to do right now as a homeowner over 67 in Australia? Action 1. Know your home's current market value. Get a current estimate, not what you bought it for, not what it was worth 5 years ago, what it is worth today, because any future policy change that includes home equity in the assets test will be based on current market value. 2. Action 2. Calculate what your position would look like under the proposed RECS model. Take your estimated home value. Subtract $500,000. The remainder is what would potentially be counted as an assessable asset. Add that to your current accessible financial assets and compare the total to the current assets test thresholds. This is not a prediction that the RECS will become law. It is a planning exercise. Understanding how you would be affected if this type of change were implemented puts you in a position to make informed decisions now rather than react in a panic later. Action 3. Look into the Home Equity Access Scheme if you are asset-rich and income-poor. If your home has significant equity but your pension is not covering your living costs comfortably, the government scheme already exists. It is available now. It has consumer protections that commercial products lack. Action 4. Speak with a financial advisor who specializes in Centrelink and retirement planning. The intersection of home equity, the assets test, the income test, and retirement income strategy is complex, and with policy potentially changing in this area, having a current professional assessment of your position is more valuable now than it has been for years. Action 5. Stay informed. The debate about home equity and pension rules is happening right now. It will continue through the next federal election cycle, and the decisions made in Canberra over the next few years could directly affect the pension entitlements of millions of Australian homeowners. Robert called me back after I explained all of this to him. He was quiet for a moment, and then he said, "So, my home might not be as protected as I thought it was." I told him the truth. Right now, yes, your home is fully protected. Nothing has changed yet. But the discussion happening in Canberra right now is real. The pressure is real. And the smart move is to understand your position clearly before anything changes so you can make informed decisions rather than be caught off guard. He said, "I'm calling my financial advisor this week." That is exactly the right response. The proposals being discussed in Canberra are real. The debate is real. And the Australian seniors who understand what is on the table and who have planned accordingly are the ones who will be best positioned regardless of what happens next. If this helped you understand what is being discussed in Canberra about homeowners over 67, share it with every senior homeowner you know. Because what is on the table right now could affect every single one of them, and they deserve to know about it before it becomes law. We will cover every development in this policy debate as it happens, every announcement, every proposal, every change that could affect your home and your pension. Drop a comment and tell us, did you know the RECS proposal existed? And does it concern you? We read every single one. See you in the next one.